Welcome to Carlton's Math Corner. Today we're going to continue our study on estimating fractions and mixed numbers. Today, one of our targets is I can generate a reasonable product and quotient when fractions are involved. Now remember, product means the answer to a multiplication problem, and quotient is an answer to a division problem. Now today we're going to be just estimating, and so we're going to be changing our factors. Remember, factors are numbers that we multiply together, and we're going to change them to estimate. And so 1/8, we talked about changing in our last video fractions to either 1/2, a half, or 0. Well, 1/8, if I shade 1 out of 8 equal parts, is that close to all of the 8 parts, half of them, or none of them, 0? It is closer to 0. And so I'm going to change 1/8 to 0. How about 2/3? What would that be close to? Yeah, it is really close to either a half or 1/2. What would you change it to? I would actually change it to 1/2, and here's why. If I take 2 divided by 3, I get 0.66666, and it keeps going on and on. Now, in my mind, if I have about 66%, 67%, for me, that just seems, since it's over half, that I would round up to 1/2. And so, because I'm thinking of money, you know, if I go to the store and I know something costs 67 cents, I would probably bring $1 with me just to make sure I have enough. And so I'd round it to 1/2. So now I have 1/8 rounded to 0 and 2/3 rounded to 1/2. Well, 0 times 1 is 0. So 1/8 times 2/3 is approximately 0. And so that would be an estimate for this. How about 6/7 times 6/10? What is 6/7 close to? Yeah, I would say 1/2. How about 6/10? Okay, it is close to either a half or 1/2. And I would say either one is correct. I went with 1/2 because, you know, 0.6 divided by 10 is 0.6. And it's really close to 0.5. I mean, it's 1/10 away. And so and this is an estimate, remember. So estimates, as long as I see your work, I will give you credit for it. Like, you know, I want you to choose the most reasonable estimate, and it depends on the problem, you know, and it depends on the situation. In this case, I would have accepted even if you rounded the 1/2 to 1/2, as long as you showed me that, hey, you know what, it's over a half, so I decided to round it up to 1/2. And so the answer of 1 times a half is 1/2. I would accept that. Or 1 times 1, I would accept 1 as well. And so either estimate would be okay with me. Now 1/2 and 1, I mean, they're both pretty close to each other. I mean, they're only a half away. So as long as I see what you're rounding your numbers to, then that is proof enough to show that you understand what an estimate means, because you're finding the most reasonable answer. And so 8/9, what would you round that to? I would probably round it to 1. And how about 5/6? 1 as well. So 1 divided by 1 is 1/2. Let's try another division problem. How about 4/5? Yeah, I would say that's about 1/2. How about 7/12? Okay, I would say about 1/2 as well. And so 1 divided by 1 again is 1/2. Now, what about if we have mixed numbers? In our last video, we talked a little bit about mixed numbers, and about if I have 4 and 5/6. Is this 5 out of 6, is that enough to bump this 4 up to 5 wholes? Or maybe is it only close to a half, so it'd be 4.5? Or is it close to 0, meaning this 4 would just stay the same as 4? I agree. I think it should be bumped up to 5 holes, 5, because this is really close. This 5, 6 is really close to 1 hole. So 5 times, how about this, 9 1/3? Is this 1/3 enough to bump it up to 9.5 or to bump it up to 10? I don't think it's enough. And so I would keep this as 9. So this would be 5 times 9, which is approximately 45. So it would be an estimate. How about this one? Now when we're doing division, what I would do is choose numbers that go together really well, meaning that they are compatible numbers. And we're going to talk about that with our next target. But some numbers that go together evenly, meaning that there's no remainder. And so like 19 and 5, 6, is that close to 19, 19 and a half, or 20? Yeah, I would say 20. I think it's enough to bump it up to 1 extra hole, so it would be 20 divided by. Now think of 20 divided by what is a number close to 10 and a ninth? What number is close to that divides evenly into 20? Yes, 10. 20 divided by 10, which is 2. And that leads us into our next target. I can choose the most reasonable estimate, and we're going to be using compatible numbers. And as I mentioned before, compatible numbers are numbers that work well with each other. Meaning, if I take, a third of a number, well, I want to take a number that I can actually separate into 3 equal parts. So think about it. What is a number that's close to 14 that I can actually separate into 3 equal parts, and so that it's an equal number in each one of those parts? Yeah, 15 is a nice number. We can separate that into 3 equal parts. What would be in each part? A 5, yep, 5, 5, and 5. We separate it into 5 equal parts. There's no remainders, like there's nothing left over. And so I would probably use the compatible numbers of 15 and 1/3, because I can take a third of 15 very easily. How about, what if I do a fourth? A fourth of what number? Meaning I'm going to take some number and separate it into 4 equal parts, and I want one of them. One of those parts. Because remember back here, we took a number and we separated it into 3 equal parts. That's 1/3. And we had to figure out what is in one of those parts, and our answer was 5. So a third of 15 was 5. Now over here, a fourth of what number is close to 21 that we can actually separate into 4 equal parts? Yes, 20. I can take 20 and separate it into 4 equal parts. And what is in each of those parts? Actually, it's 5 again. You're right. And so my answer, if I take 1/4, that means one of these, my answer would be 5. Now, if I have, the next problem is 2 numbers that I want to divide. Think of some compatible numbers. If I have 12 and I'm dividing by some number, think of a compatible number that works with 12. So if I have 12, what could I divide that by that's close to 2 or 6 2/3? Exactly. I am going to actually keep it at 6 because I can evenly divide 12 by 6. And 12 divided by 6 is approximately 2. So that would be a good estimate for this. Now we use estimation in real life so that we can, estimate costs. That's usually when we mostly use it. So let's look at a problem. If I am trying to find the height of the wheels of a monster truck, and if I say that the wheels are about 2/3 of the total height, and I want you to estimate about the total height of the truck. And this is the information that they gave us about the monster truck. So if I want to take 2/3 of the height, here is the height of the monster truck. It's 15.5 feet. Now think about it. What number is close to 15.5 feet that I can separate into 3 equal parts? Because I'm dealing with thirds. Yeah, the number 15. I can separate 15 into 3 equal parts, and each part would have how much in it? 5 and 5 and 5. So, and I want 2/3. That means I want 2 of these 5s. So 5 plus 5 is about how much is the height of the wheel? 10 feet. Nice job. Or what we did was we took 2/3 of 15, and that equals approximately 10 feet. So for tomorrow, will you complete the following 4 questions for your ticket problems? Will you please estimate the product or quotient and use compatible numbers to estimate? And so thank you so much for joining me at Carlton's Math Corner, and I look forward to meeting with you again.